The Aston Martin is about to make the biggest all-in in Formula One history. Just imagine. A team that was fighting for podiums a few months ago is now struggling to score points. But hold on, because behind the scenes, things are heating up. Lance Stroll is playing hardball, folks. He's aiming for none other than the genius Adrian Newey, the guy who designed the championship-winning cars for Verstappen. And it doesn't stop there. There's a new factory being built, a state-of-the-art wind tunnel, and an exclusive partnership with Honda coming. And of course, what's going to happen with Lance Stroll in all of this? Will the boss's son be able to keep up, or will Aston need two top drivers to justify all this investment? Will it work out? And what happens if it doesn't? We're going to break all of this down today. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a single detail. And let's get into it. Let's start by breaking down Aston Martin's current situation because, guys, it's not looking good. Remember when we thought 2024 would be the year for Lance Stroll's project? Well, it didn't happen. The team that last year was giving even Red Bull a hard time is now fighting back there with Williams, Haas, and the rest. Just look at the numbers. After last year's Italian GP, Aston was fourth in the Constructors' Championship with 217 points. This year, fifth place with a mere 74 points. That's practically one-third of what they had at the same point last year. And it doesn't stop there. Alonso, who was constantly on the podium at the start of 2023, is now celebrating when he finishes in 10th place. But what happened after all? The answer is more complicated than it seems. Aston Martin fell into a trap that many teams have faced with this generation of cars, the famous correlation problem. It's like the team is playing a computer game on one setting, but when they get to the real track, the car behaves completely differently. And it's not just Aston in this tricky situation. Even Red Bull is having similar problems with the RB20 upgrades. Mercedes is also scratching their heads after the updates they brought to Spa. So far, only McLaren seems to have gotten away from this issue. But wait, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and its name is Adrian Newey. And here, my friends, we get to the point that could completely change the game for Aston Martin. Adrian Newey, the wizard of aerodynamics, the guy who made the championship-winning cars for Vettel and Verstappen, is about to sign with Lance Stroll's team. But let's get to the facts. According to reliable sources, Newey is set to sign a 5-year contract with Aston Martin. And brace yourselves for the figure because it's jaw-dropping. We're talking about £30 million per year. That's right, 30 million. With bonuses and everything, that's enough to buy an island in the Caribbean. The official confirmation is expected in the coming days, with a press conference at Aston Martin's headquarters in Silverstone. This move clearly shows that Lance Stroll is not messing around. He wants to turn Aston into an F1 powerhouse, no matter the cost. But why would Newey agree to go to Aston Martin and take on a project that, let's be honest, is still in its infancy? Well, there are several factors at play. First, the challenge. Newey is known for liking projects where he can leave his mark and create something from scratch. He's done it all at Red Bull. At Aston, it's a blank page. Second, the money. £30 million a year isn't easy to turn down, right? And third, the freedom. It seems like at Aston, Newey will have a blank check to do whatever he wants, something he might not have at Red Bull anymore. And there's more. Newey will be able to work with Fernando Alonso, something he has already said was one of his regrets in his career. Just imagine these two geniuses together, exchanging ideas on how to make the car faster. But hold on, it doesn't stop there. Newey is just the cherry on top of a much bigger plan from Lance Stroll, and that's where we get to the next chapter of this story. Stroll is doing what we call an all-in in poker. He's betting all his chips. Hiring Newey is just part of a much bigger plan to turn Aston Martin into a super team. Let's talk about infrastructure. Aston has just inaugurated a brand new factory in Silverstone. We're talking about state-of-the-art facilities, rivaling the best in F1. But it doesn't stop there. They're also finishing the construction of a new wind tunnel, which should be ready by early 2025. For those who don't know, the wind tunnel is crucial for car development. It's where engineers test the wild ideas that will make the car faster. And having a cutting-edge wind tunnel can make the difference between fighting for victories or being stuck in the midfield. But Stroll isn't just investing in concrete and machines. He's hiring the best brains in the paddock. Besides Newey, Aston Martin has brought in Andy Cowell, who was the head of engines at Mercedes. You know those unbeatable engines from the hybrid era? Yeah, he was the guy in charge. And there's more. They also hired Enrico Cardile, who was Ferrari's technical director. The guy is a master in chassis and aerodynamics design. Combine him with Newey, and you've got an explosive mix of talent. All of this is being done with one clear goal: 2026. That's the year the new F1 regulations come into play, with completely different cars and new engines. And Aston wants to be ready to strike. Speaking of engines, the team has secured an exclusive partnership with Honda starting in 2026. This means they'll practically be a factory team, with full support from the Japanese manufacturer. It's the kind of deal that can make all the difference in an era of new regulations. It's like Aston is building a rocket. Right now, everyone is seeing the pieces being put together, but the real launch won't happen for a while. And you know what's crazy? All this movement is attracting the attention of investors. Rumor has it that 2 American investment funds are about to buy a stake in Aston Martin F1. We're talking about hundreds of millions of pounds being injected into the team. That's a lot of money. But guys, all this money and all this talent come with enormous pressure. Lance Stroll is betting big, and he's going to want results. And that's where we hit a delicate point. Now let's talk about the green elephant in the room, Lance Stroll. Because let's be honest, the boss's son is in a tough spot. With all this crazy investment and the arrival of people like Newey, the pressure on Lance will be enormous. We know Fernando Alonso will deliver. The guy is a 2-time world champion with over 30 career wins, and even at 43, he's still one of the best on the grid. But what about Lance? Will he be able to keep up? Because guys, there's no denying it. Lance has his moments of brilliance. He's scored a pole position, he's been on the podium a few times, but there are also races where he just disappears. And in a team aiming for the top, that can't happen. Lance Stroll might find himself in a very tricky situation soon. Just imagine, you've spent a fortune building a super team. You've hired the best designer in the world. You've got a world champion in one of the cars. And in the other, you've got your son, who can't keep up. It's a decision no father wants to make, but one that might be necessary if Aston Martin really wants to fight for titles. Would Lawrence have the courage to take his own son out of the car to put another top driver in? Like a Lando Norris or maybe even Max Verstappen. Sounds crazy, right? But think about it. If you're Verstappen, a 3-time world champion, and you see Red Bull losing ground while Aston is building an ambitious project with Newey, wouldn't you want a change of scenery? Of course, this is all speculation right now, but it's the kind of decision that could determine whether Aston Martin's project becomes a huge success or just another failed attempt to build a super team in F1. And what about you? What do you think of all this? Will Aston Martin manage to fulfill Lance Stroll's dream? Or will all this investment end in frustration? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any details of this Aston Martin saga and everything happening in the world of F1. Thanks everyone, and see you next time.